May 10th meeting of the Budget Finance and Investment Committee. This is their first meeting. They've been begin the budget review for the 2016-17 calendar year, fiscal year budget. We will start with community learning, and welcome Dr. Payne to the table.
Thank you.
The lucky winner, you get to be first.
He calls about January.
January.
He says, I want to be first.
They have somebody calling in December.
Are you in the, are y'all going to direct us to the right page?
Page number 8.
Page number 8.
Page number to the top right corner. Yeah.
You've already done it. Thank you, sir. He's first, but he's not first in his book.
No. And he isn't under community learning either.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can see that this is very, very much a continuation budget. There are a couple of reductions here in that one of his longtime tenured teachers retired, so there's less money in 116 teachers, and there's less money in employee independent insurance 205. Other than that, there are really not any changes in this budget, and I so recommend approval.
Dr. Payne, you accept the mayor's recommendation?
Absolutely.
Good to hear. We appreciate that.
Make a motion to approve it.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer, Mr. Jernigan. Any discussion?
Mr. Payne wants to be first on a lesson again next year.
Call the roll.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mr. Baum?
Yes.
Mr. Jernigan? Yes. Mr. P?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Jordan?
Yes. And thank you, Dr. Payne.
Thank you.
Dr. Payne, are you going to mention your graduation?
All of you are invited to our graduation, May 27th. I think you know the building, 11 a.m. So come and watch these young people graduate.
How many graduates will you have?
10.
10. Awesome.
Good record, good number for us.
That's great.
Thank you.
While I'm thinking about it, seemed like last year we didn't do a roll call vote on every single budget, so unless am I correct on that?
You're correct.
Yeah, and so unless I hear any objection, we'll just do a voice vote on these budgets unless anybody thinks one ought to be done otherwise. Instead of Mark having to read our names off 400 times in a row. We'll move on to county commission.
Okay, well, that's the same budget that we've had here this current year, and there's no one
Several
prepares
years.
that. So we recommend approval.
249,970. Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Allen, second Commissioner Teague. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Mitchell, Board of Equalization. Got the next 3 in a row here.
3 in a row.
All right.
Board of Equalization, again, we budgeted the same we budgeted for the current year. They did such a good job. They didn't have to spend all of it even this year, so we recommend again, though, a continuation of enough money in case they have more that they have to hear.
No, hopefully not. This should be a very, very easy year.
So $20,930 is our recommendation.
Commissioner, you accept the mayor's recommendation on Board of Equalization?
That was exactly mine, so yes.
Motion to approve the mayor's recommendation.
Thank you, Commissioner Fee. Mr. Jernigan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Property assessors. That's
Page 11.
page 11.
11. Okay.
And 12.
I have to sort of get in my rhythm here, all right, folks. Let's see, on the property assessors, I believe the recommendation is $1,195,409. There are,
One of the changes is that we did move one person down from the property assessor's office down to the
Down to
reappraisal.
appraisal.
Right.
so, and Lisa.
And we
I've
did
got-
that after his recommendation.
After his recommendation,
After
But
we
he,
went.
he, I think, recommended it.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm looking again here. I think I made one arbitrary change. That data processing equipment, I've marked that down from 45 to 25. We didn't have any really clear understanding of what that was. If he actually needs to spend more than that 25, I'd be happy to support him when he decides it's time to issue his bids or whatever he's going to do to retrieve or add additional equipment or replace equipment primarily, I think.
We have a couple of printers in there that were purchased under Mr. Barbie. They weren't, at the point after he purchased them, they were not proper for the type of print job that needed to be done, so they were moved to a different location in the office. He repurchased others. The ones that he replaced those with, we replaced 2 years ago. Now these have given out and they're no longer in service. So we'll have to have a bid this summer on them, so that's why I went ahead and put it in the budget to get the thing done. If we come in under that amount, I'm not gonna spend it, but I felt it was, the prudent thing to do was to go ahead and let you know that we're gonna have to replace them. I'm gonna, if we don't have it now, it'll be middle of June, I'm gonna be asking for the money, so I figured we may as well go ahead and get it.
How much do these printers cost?
They can run anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 a piece,
So you were requesting enough to get three, two?
just two.
When are you putting them out for bid?
We'll be putting them out for bid pretty much immediately.
Okay. So we could put that when they get those bids back, that we,
Yeah,
then we can make that, adjust that.
an amendment. I didn't talk to Mr. Mitchell again. I talked to our OIT people, and they didn't know anything about it, and I couldn't get confirmation, so that's the only reason we've done that.
Good. Well, we can make the notation
And
that
I will
we
support
put
it.
back in
Yeah.
next month. Yeah, good. What I'm getting at is we'll know it before the budget cycle's
It's-
over this year. for
Yeah,
next
we
year.
can do some
Okay.
more review of that.
Okay.
So you're saying add the 20,000?
Yeah, it was in 52,300, line 709. I had requested 45, and the mayor's recommendation was 25 on it. And then the other change was in 52,310, line 425. And we'll probably be fine on the gasoline, Mr. Mayor, because the hybrids are performing extraordinarily well. We've got them into heavy use, and they are saving a lot of fuel costs. So those 310, 425, I'm fine with the $5,000 reduction on the fuel in that one.
Well, we're still on the
Still in the yellow.
property assessor budget to start with. I mean, does the committee want to put the 20,000 in, or just amend as necessary when the bids come back in?
I just said, since they're gonna be back this year, wait till the bids come back and do it then. We're talking, this is not mid-May, but we got June for, you said you're going out immediately.
When's the last time that we'll have the purchasing committee meet to review it? It may be too late for that, I don't know.
I think there's gonna be one more, but I don't,
First of June.
I believe she's already advertised for that last one.
Yeah, I don't know.
when is it?
I don't know, but
I
I think
don't
she's
know
already
what it is.
advertised.
I don't know if I can get one out.
If you
in
just
time.
give me a bit of time to have a little conversation with Mr. Robertson after they discuss this with them, we can bring it back before we finish this round of reviews.
We
We
usually,
have at least two more of these rounds here.
yeah, we usually at the end make sure and go back and anything needs adjusting, so we can make a note to go over this, if that's the will of the committee.
Well, I'll make a motion that we do it that way, that we come back to
Approve the mayor's
this.
request basically at this point in time.
Second.
Check for Commissioner Allen. Further discussion?
Yeah, I got one. We switched one person from assessor to appraisal. And somewhere in there, we must have had some people retire that had a big, good-sized family. 'Cause what I'm getting at is an assessor, the dependent insurance went down 20,000
Again, you're gonna find that throughout.
out.
Get throughout.
Just
Spouse
and people
enrollment.
making
If you-
adjustments and all.
Well, if you remember, I kind of just touched on it, that we didn't make any adjustments in the current year because we didn't know how many people would leave with the spouse having to leave and not knowing where they would be. We just kept them at where they were in this year. So we're really making the adjustments for that.
Okay.
All those in favor of approving the mayor's recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Reappraisal, which we've already touched on a little bit.
The reappraisal, there's no change in his recommendation except I reduced his fuel request by $5,000.
And I'm totally fine with that because we're good.
So the reappraisal amount is $1,088,292.
Motion to approve mayor's recommendation.
Thank you,
Second.
Commissioner Teague, Commissioner Schaefer. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
All right.
Thank you,
let's
Mr.
do
Mitchell.
Lisa, where's my chocolate?
Oh, no budget for that.
Oh, man.
That cut out of the
Thank you very much.
budget. You thought the first few ones on the list would have brought chocolate because they got to go first.
I didn't do it. Sorry about that.
County mayor's budget. Page 1.
Okay, all right, the recommendation is $605,845, and we have a few things we need to point out to you. Our insurance in here in particular is up $8,000. We got a new employee replacing a retired employee. Lisa will have to have me legal services. Line 331 is up $45,000. It's
Well, you can see how many times that we've had to amend this year.
we have to amend it, so she just went in and put some more money in there to have it available that we've been spending more than.
Is that on settlements or what is this on?
No, these are more, I'd say the majority of the animal
Animal control,
cases.
get people into court for vicious dogs, et cetera. It's a miscellaneous group of things that happen over the course of a year. And the other thing is, there was some suggestion, this $599, other charges, we've increased that $20,000 and
And a lot of that, what happens, ends up being kind of short. And I'm recommending it. There are times where the county has to, we acquire properties through tax sales, and then the county is paying, what we're spending the money out is paying for the back taxes. And this is where we pay those back taxes out of.
And I use this from time to time within any number of departments that have a urgent needs, you might say, we need to go ahead and get it done, but without a budget amendment, or maybe they don't have enough money within their own, so I have strategically used that for, just covering some things that need to be covered short term. Otherwise, we don't use it for any other thing in the mayor's office. It's all outside.
Back taxes, if it's in one of the cities, for example,
Oh, we have to pay it.
to the cities
Mhm.
too?
Well, the piece of property isn't worth what the taxes are.
Right.
Most of the time, it's not.
Then why do we buy it back? Why don't we just let it sit?
Because we're charged interest and penalty as well if we don't settle it out of chancery, because these they're in their courts now, and so it really doesn't matter who's buying it, they've got their processes. So
Do we have to pay
it
taxes then
and settle.
every year on it till we get rid of it?
No, it's just that, once it's ours, then it turns into exempt. But we've got to settle up all the back
A lot of
taxes.
people don't realize the county has to ante up to buy a piece of property that's being foreclosed on for back taxes, and
It's in the city,
it's
then.
kind of bizarre, almost, the way it is. County has to go to pay the trustee's office and all, and then.
Well, if you look at it, most people look at us as one entity, but he has taxes to be collected. And just because we buy doesn't mean that
Well, it
he
could
gets
be
to
a
write
piece
it
of
off.
property with environmental issues or whatever, and that could be a real legal issue if you had a piece of property with a huge stigma to it, that's something where there's some, like I
What
said, environmental
legislation
spill or
is
something in the
turned
county.
on that?
Yeah, they
I
just
think
passed a
this
law to
year
fix
they
that.
passed some legislation that we can sort of step aside and not have to buy something that we can, that if we really truly determine it's got some liability and exposure that we don't want to take. But most of the time, it's just property that might be landlocked or et cetera. So we've been able to get rid of most all of it without any real problems. It's just it's a tedious, difficult process.
But it cleans up the trustees' books, it cleans up Chancery's books on those properties when it gets it off their books.
Make a motion approved.
Thank you, Commissioner Jernigan.
I'm second.
Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Human Resources, Ms. Stevenson. How are you tonight?
Good, thank you.
Okay, let's see then. My recommendation is $356,518. There are 2 or 3 things that are noteworthy, and we may let her address some of this, but in one, we're recommending converting part-time expenditures of $14,560 to a full-time position of $25,100. Let's see. That increases, of course, benefits, and also that will increase our employee insurance line item. And evaluation and testing is up. I'm just pointing this out. I stayed with her recommendation, so I've not changed her recommendation of $10,000 for that's drug testing and new employees, et cetera, there. So, and other contracted services, she's reduced that by $9,000. So the total budget, even with all those changes, is up about $29,000.
You accept the mayor's recommendation?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Jernigan.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen.
I gotta ask about dependent insurance again, because this time it went the other way.
Oh,
And we got one new person.
One new person.
Yeah, but it more than doubled, is what I'm getting at. Is somebody add on a spouse that lost it from somewhere else or
She had a
something?
change in personnel.
Oh,
toward the end of the
okay.
year.
So
In the middle of the year,
the
yeah.
3 that were there aren't the same ones that started last year, is what we're saying.
Right.
Okay.
And then when we budget for the new position, you want to budget the assumption that they may take the greater insurance.
Well, we budget like kind of a
Average
blended rate.
Blended rate, so
Blended rate,
that's
yeah.
why they may not take that same coverage, so just want to make sure.
Can you tell us just a little bit about what the new full-time position will be doing?
Yes, there'll be, there's a lot of things that we do in our office to try to help the employees and things that are required. We have census reports, we have new hire reporting, we have things that are required by the state government, the federal government that we have to do. But there's also some things that would help us as far as just keeping the scanning, helping answering the phone. I can't even count how many times a day we get phone calls. Apparently, people think human resources and human services are the same thing. And then they also call us for unemployment, and it's just fielding all those phone calls. So that's why we were looking for something that was very basic entry level to try to help offset that. Also, we get a lot of walk-in. And then our employees just need help. Sometimes they need help with just little things that could be offset with that. So we're not getting to do some of the other things that we want to do, which is employee development, working on retention plans, working on new projects as far as trying to offset other costs. One of the things that's in this budget that did go up, and Mayor Burgess mentioned, was the cost of the evaluation, the testing for the drug screening, the MMPF, and all those type things. And so this would give us some time to research other alternatives to maybe offset that cost. We think there's some mechanisms that we could have, and so it may end up being that the savings that we find on those will help offset this other service. So there's some things that we're looking at in that, and along those natures. And then some of the special events we do, training for the administrative support, we try to do those 3 times a year, and that would help us to set up for those. We do financial planning, we do retirement planning. It's just some things to just help the employees with the turnover. Unfortunately, now that the economy has improved, our turnover has started to increase, you know, so we've gone from like a 3.6% turnover to like a 6% turnover. And so with that's gonna have some additional duties as well.
You also said the sheriff's, work had come back to you,
It has,
the HR?
he has asked us, you know, he has turned his files and his records management back over to us, and also he's asked us to assist his retired, people who want to retire or have other questions, ADA accommodations. We've been doing their FMLAs for us all along. We never, he left that within our office. He just felt like it was better. And then he's asked us to assume some other duties for him, even help him with the orientations. We have the new onboarding, the new online application process, NeoGov, and we are currently developing his application for him. So he's going to post all of his positions through us and let us track that. So then we'll have to go out and train each of his division commanders to use the online application process. So there's some things that he's doing that, you know, those are things that we hadn't accounted, you know. But in all fairness, I do have to say that a few years ago when he gave us his applications before, he did provide us with, we converted a part-time position to that because of him. He gave us a position. So, you know, in all fairness, I don't want to
point to that.
Yeah, right, because he had already accounted for that before.
You just
so.
absorbed it in your department.
We did.
Yeah. So, what's the frequency with which you do salary surveys, just to make sure that we remain competitive?
We participate in salary surveys all year, and then every other year I conduct a salary survey in-house. In years past, prior to my coming to the county, I believe that they had contracted with outside agencies to conduct those. Those salary surveys will cost anywhere between $60,000 and $80,000. I think the one that the city did last year was like $80,000. A lot of it's the same data. When I went back and looked at their numbers and my numbers, they were very similar. Sometimes it does help though if this body hears it from somebody other than me, you know. But I do try to do those every other year, just to reach out to, I try to take the entities that, a few entities that are larger than us and a few that are smaller than us, just to get that kind of blend, to look at that, and then look at the largest municipalities in each of those counties.
Is this a year that you'll do it or no?
Yes.
This is an on year?
Mm-hmm. So this was a year that we didn't do it, and so that's why, like last year we came and there was a few positions that need to be adjusted, and so we do it every other year.
So when would you recommend making those adjustments if you identify there needs to be changes?
We typically do it during the budget process.
So you would have already done it for going into 16?
And we did make, there was a couple of technology type positions and some other positions that we evaluated this year that will be in their budget presentations when they come through, that we saw that there was a need. But anything that we do in the salary survey this year, we would not recommend until the following year.
So 17?
Yes, yes ma'am.
Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the mayor's recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Ms. Stevenson, County Attorney, Ms. McCrary, welcome.
Thank you. There's absolutely no change except maybe another day in the year. The $264,131 is the recommendation, and our arrangements with the county attorney remains the same.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Schaefer, Mr. Perry, I take it you and your crew accepts the mayor's recommendation?
We do.
Right.
Yes, we do.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Election
Thank
Committee.
you all.
Mr. Farley.
Okay. Alrighty, and let me see here. The recommendation is $965,642. And I'm just trying to see if I made any, I'm not sure I made any changes at all to his request. We can address a few big ones, and the biggest one by far is election workers, line 193. With the August election and the November elections coming up, which is a biggie in November, he's increased that by $125,000, and that's most all of his increase.
We go from one election, one budget year to 2 elections, then one, so basically, the one that we're adding, the extra one this time is presidential election, so we're projecting about 125,000 voters, so it's going to be a big turnout, which is going to require several more poll workers. So that's our biggest increase.
Would this fall back next year if?
Yes, yeah, because next year's budget will go back to 1 election because we're at 2 and 1.
And I take it you accept the mayor's recommendation?
Yes, sir.
Got a quick question for you.
Mhm.
You use high school students occasionally to work these polls, is that correct?
If they're 17, yes, we can.
If they're 17, I'm just wondering if y'all were able to offer them any kind of credits or any other incentive other than, I assume they get paid just like regular poll workers do.
Right, correct. It's required by state law that we have to pay them the same thing we would have to pay anybody else with that. But we do work with Smyrna High School is very good, and then there's another school. Their government classes are very, very good as far as giving us students who have an interest in working. So we do work with them.
I was just wondering if you work with the school board, see if they can work that into the curriculum or something, give them some extra credit there.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Well,
As we grow, we're always looking for poll workers. So.
Right.
Motion approved.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen.
Second.
Commissioner P. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Just a quick question, Mr. Funk, if I may. Just, we've got all the equipment we need, the voting machines, et cetera, and you have the money in for what we got to pay to get some rented? Well, we do. I mean, we'll have enough to get us to this cycle. And of course, in 2018, we'll adopt a new format, which will allow us to extend our equipment from we'll be reducing the number of polling locations and consolidating, because we'll have the more convenient voting, which allows us to, because state law requires you to have so many voting machines per precinct based on population. So that's one of the advantages of going to the vote centers, is that you consolidate. You don't necessarily have to, if you've got a small precinct, you still by statute have to have 2 to 3 voting machines. So we can consolidate those down and better utilize our equipment we've got. But as we continue to grow with population, we'll have to expand that. But right now we're good. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carlin.
Thank you.
On the register of deeds, Ms. Dahlbarn. How are you tonight?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, I have accepted her recommendation. Now, and the recommendation is $371,611. Now, we'll ask Ms. Nolan, this will be something reoccurring at the very top, and I don't know, have you seen this, Ms. Dahlbarn? We have added your benefits up there, not your employees, but just the benefits,
Okay.
so that she doesn't have to readjust these at the end of the year, basically. So those first few line items, pensions, insurance, disability, and Medicare, those things have been added by our finance department just as a matter of routine for our elected officials that are fee-based offices. So that's how they numbered total 371,611. That wasn't exactly her number. She had a smaller number of benefits out.
I didn't include the benefits.
She did not include those, but that's the process that Ms. Nolan wishes to put in place for better accounting processes.
Ms. Dahlbarn, you accept the mayor's recommendation.
I believe, let me just check my other numbers that I have.
Okay, yes, you may.
Because that final number doesn't, let's see.
So you can start right there with $1,000. That should be on yours.
Yes.
trustee.
Yes, yes, we're good.
Motion approved.
Thank you, Commissioner Jernigan. Will you use a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen.
I guess could you tell us a little bit more about why the total is so different this year than last year?
Well, what we've done is, we've taken out the salary, so you're not seeing that, and I guess they've added the benefits back in. Those are what I wanted to present, and one of the reasons I did that is I wanted actually to create a more transparency about the fee offices. I hear a lot of times that we're an unfunded mandate, when in fact we are beyond funded. We're funded in excess through the commissions and fees that we earn through the state for collecting the tax for them. Under the general fund expenses, our revenue after we pull out our salaries, I project to be $699,177, and our fees from general fund will be $7,150. The rest of that you see there are EDP fund expenses. That's a special fit fund that we have for anything to do with electronic data processing. That fund, our revenue we project to be $109,000, and our expenses will be $71,481. So in reality, we are providing a revenue to the rest of the county general. I just wanted to, after salaries, after benefits, I wanted to make it very clear that our expenses are rather minute, and the fees that we collect are well in excess to cover all of that.
If the salaries were still in there, how would that compare to last year's budget, this year's?
It would be real close. I mean, the only.
I can tell you the difference. I can tell you what the salaries numbers would be if that would help you.
Well, the total, well, either way.
Okay, salaries for 14 deputies. Last year was 607,166. This year would be 619,207.
And that's all the salaries you pulled out?
And her salary. was
My
pulled
salary
out.
is as well pulled out.
Okay, and what is it?
It will be
105,201.
Yeah.
No, wait a minute. Oh, no.
Yeah, 105,023.
So she gave it up, that's a little over 700,000. If you add that to the 371, you're
You're knocking on the
you're
same
you're
door. All right.
just knocking
It's
close.
it's very much a continuation budget. If you look at everything, we've pretty much maintained everything. The only line item that goes up, and I guess that might need a little bit of explanation, is your maintenance agreement line item. But that's really not as big of a step as you think it is, because that previous budget was, when we purchased equipment, they gave us a 3-year maintenance agreement. We paid it up front. That 3 years has expired, so now we're buying it again. So there's a little bit of it looks like a bigger jump or increase than it actually is.
So are we buying it for 3 years again, or this will be an annual expense?
Annual expenses for equipment, yeah, after that. Some of them are, I think, there's several pieces of equipment in there, so some are on different schedules. But that kind of explains, it's not that drastic of an increase in reality.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further questions of Ms. Dahlbarn?
I just have one sort of in general. If a taxpayer wants to look at the budget and kind of see how everything's spent, will your numbers be included somewhere for them to see? Because like we had to ask, for how that breaks out. And I know, you're talking about being self-supporting and all that, which I love. I totally appreciate that. I'm just curious, because we're going for transparency. If somebody wanted to see the whole picture, is that going to be anywhere in our document?
I'm going to place my full budget on my website, the Register of Deeds website, and it'll all be broken out there. So that covers the
So all we'll see
transparency.
here is just the revenue. The additional revenue that comes in. Okay.
Right. So I really wanted to make the point by doing this in a regard that we are fully self-sufficient in excess of and
Just
creating.
because somebody asked, I just want to know
Yes.
where to come to look.
All those in favor of approving the budget as recommended by the mayor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Albarn. Planning and Engineering, Mr. Mosley, Mr. Hughes. Welcome.
Good evening.
The recommendation, we got both of these gentlemen, we have planning first, right? The recommendation is $769,362. And, while I was listening, I should have been looking here.
They asked for
Now,
the car you took out.
I have removed the motor vehicles, line 718, I have not recommended that. I don't think there's any other changes in addition to that as far as their request.
The more things change, the more they stay the same. We've had cars been cut out, not last year, but for 20 years, I believe, while I was here.
I think we have an alternative plan that we can execute for another year.
They're also going to be applying for that grant that we just.
But they are,
you know,
yeah, applying for that,
talked
but
about Thursday.
I wouldn't count on that to meet their needs, so we're gonna meet it another way.
Mr. Mosley, do you accept the mayor's recommendation?
Yes, sir.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen.
Second.
Mr. P. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Stormwater. You said you're part of it?
Page 39.
Page 39.
Yes, sir.
Let's way back. 39, stormwater management. And the recommendation is $239,130. No, that's $100 off from his request, Lisa, and I don't know exactly how. I don't think I made any change there.
It was an employee insurance.
Oh, employee insurance had $1,000 or
$100
yeah, $100, excuse me, not 1,000. Anyway, that's a recommendation. What is, a couple of things maybe noteworthy. One in particular, line item 709, $36,000 is a new item that we've added here. It is time to update antiquated survey equipment. So Mr. Hughes can address that, but that's what this is all about. We've got to get back into the modern day need that we have for a proper survey device.
Yes, sir. We have survey equipment from the 80s, and the company that services that says that they no longer can service that because it's so old. I can't find batteries for it. But we use the survey equipment for our own topographic surveys, boundary surveys, but we also help out the highway department. We help out solid waste with survey requests. So that's what we're asking, is to update that. But that's the survey equipment, the data collector software that goes with it. So it's
I think the technology might have changed just a little bit.
just a little bit, yes, sir.
GPS type technology and survey stuff and things like that.
Is this gonna get you everything you need, or will there be more requests next year? A lot of times, I know we split them up and get part one.
That should get us in place for several years to come. So that hopefully won't have to upgrade that for 10 or 15 years.
Maybe some maintenance.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen. Jeremy?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
This is something that bothered me, not just with you, but with all the stormwater, especially the city of Laverne, but here and there. Just in 3 sentences, what basically are you required to do with stormwater?
We're mandated to provide a stormwater program which helps maintain the water quality of the county. We provide education for the schools. I mean, I could go on and on, I'm sorry, but it's a mandate from the federal and state government that we have to provide this
Yeah,
program.
I know that, okay. But what it entails, you just, what I'm getting at is like the highway department has equipment to clean the ditches and stuff out, which is part of stormwater, is cleaning that out so you don't fill up all the lines running into.
Right. Well, we're trying to keep everything clean before it gets to the streams. and not let anything. We're educating the students of the county. We are inspecting streams, making sure they're up to standards. So I mean, we're doing a lot of stuff to keep the
Okay.
waters clean.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any testing devices in the field?
We farm those out, we hire those out. One of the items that we're reducing actually is that we only have to have the test every 3 years, so we've reduced our amount for that test. But we have to hire that out to outside sources.
Well, I remember when those first came through, and I remember the long list we were given when I was what all we were gonna have to monitor and.
Yes, sir.
So,
You want the silk fences that they use on construction sites?
Right, right.
You know,
During
sure.
construction sites, we inspect those, and then that's during construction and after construction, we're part of that maintenance.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Further questions? Those in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. Environmental.
Well, environmental, we are getting.
I can see for that.
We're paying for, I think, a telephone over there.
Yes, sir.
in the
$600
environmental.
budget for a phone line.
That's a phone line that we provide over in those offices. We let the state use that are ours, and they pay us a rent for that as well.
Yes, sir.
That's $600.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer.
Second.
Commissioner Turner, can I have a first? First page, either one. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Motion passes. That was a tough one to get out of the way. County building, Mr. Mankey, welcome.
All right, let's see, the recommendation is $2,309,346. That is pretty much the same as he has requested, with a couple of exceptions on maintenance equipment. Line item 717, I've reduced his recommendation from $65,000 to $41,000. And motor vehicles, I've reduced his recommendation from $59,190 to $30,000. So those are the two differences, I believe. Basically, there might have been some differences with respect to, and now, of course, I need to go back to the beginning. There's some benefit things, of course, but maintenance personnel, Lisa, you may have to help me. We've reduced that from 200,000 to 189, and the part-time personnel, I do understand he requested only 234, and we raised that to 247 because we made some suggestions on those part-time people that needed to have some increases to reduce that turnover and maintain basically our cleaning staff. I don't know about line item 167. Actually, I didn't follow up on that before today. It may be, I think, just with the turnover in personnel that he's had, I think the actual exposure we currently have is just reduced from his initial request. I think that's it.
And he had,
Is that
I
it?
mean, I
Pretty-
think that's it.
So that's just, from the time he made his request till we, Lisa actually got the numbers and the people and applied the actual
What they are now.
salaries, that's what it is. So those are the changes.
On the maintenance equipment, 717, it had been at 10,000, you requested 65,000, the mayor recommended 41. What are your plans for that money?
A Bobcat with several attachments.
So what are you gonna get now, the Bobcat without any attachments?
It's a little smaller Bobcat.
Smaller Bobcat.
Not quite as many bells and whistles.
And I guess you had 2 vehicles in the
Yes,
request,
sir.
you're down to 1.
Yes, sir.
You accept the mayor's recommendation?
Yes, I accept the recommendation.
On the motor, you asking for 2?
2 trucks. 2 trucks and service beds.
You get it, 1?
Got 1.
I move approval.
Thank you, Commissioner Garrigan.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Baum. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Archives, Mr. Logan, welcome.
Now, this is preservation of records.
Preservation of records.
Starts at five.
Starts at the
Why
bottom.
can't we put those, leave all the accounting things on our other sheets?
Oh, so it says.
So it says
the
archive,
same
or,
thing.
yeah, or put one in, what we call it in parentheses, so.
Or we
I
may
mean-
call it archive/preservation of records because the accounts here are dictated by the state.
Yeah, but on
I'm
this,
looking at
that's,
the
But I
account
understand
number
what you're
myself
saying.
to make sure I
Yeah.
have the right one.
but I don't know the account numbers off the top of my head when I go looking for them, and what I'm getting at is like the one up above it, other general administration. Why
Which-
couldn't it have community learning in parentheses behind it?
Well, probably would do this and then put community learning after it because that's
That's
our
what I'm
terms,
saying.
not
Yeah.
the state's
These are the
terms.
comptroller's chart of
Yeah,
account
but why
names.
couldn't we put the one after, never mind, we say that, talk about this every year,
Yeah,
but
we do.
that stays the same.
Right, you don't wanna talk about it here.
I've only been the only one who was looking at it, I don't know.
Okay, archives/preservation of records. My recommendation is $178,878. And there is one change that's noteworthy. How long have you been employed with us, Mr. Lowell?
Me and the archives will be there 10 years in August.
10 years, he has been our presence with archives, using every year a couple of interns from MTSU as part-time people that fill in and be sure we don't have any openings when he happens to be gone or otherwise. So every year for a long, long time, Mr. Lowell has been telling me he needs an assistant or someone to help support him, and I've never chosen to allow him to move forward with that. So this year, I am recommending that we add that one person on line 103, which is an additional person that he would like to put in place to help support his growing needs. So that's the reason we have this increase, and then of course that increases the insurance and the other benefits that go with that. But past that, there's really no other actual cost of any consequence that he has in his place. That's a recommendation.
Motion approved.
Thank you, Commissioner Garrigan.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen. Mr. Lovell, I take it you accept the mayor's recommendation?
Yes, sir, I do.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Well, you made it through the first step with your assistant. You got a little ways to go.
Whoa, he's going to leave in a hurry.
Well, not tonight, but we're not through meeting.
I know.
I wouldn't put out the job description quite yet.
That's it.
Chickens haven't hatched yet.
Yeah.
I got it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Risk management, Ms. Street. Welcome.
Risk management, page 9 and 10. My recommendation is $1,258,889. And there are several things that we probably can note, and she'll have to help us on this, but in any event, we have recommended replacing part-time personnel with one full-time, converting as part-time, I think, which amounted to about $26,000, to an increasing that to a full-time person. There are a number of benefit changes that you can see. I have not, my recommendation basically is everything she requested. There are a few other changes that are part of her budget that's out of her control. I mean, as far as building and contents insurance, liability insurance, those are up a bit. And so other than that, and that one change I told you about, staffing is more or less a continuation budget from the current budget. And every year, Ms. Allen now knows, and the complexities of all of this insurance that's going on is a very, very tough assignment for that department over there.
And except for line item 502, 506, and 508, the rest of it is funded by the insurance fund and the workers' comp fund.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Mayor, because that's actually one of the positions I was concerned about. I'm highly concerned that we have a level of talent there that far exceeds her compensation. And so that's one of the positions that I think we really need to look at, because if we lost her, we could not replace her.
Thank you, that was well said.
Well, at first, it's just getting her up to what you were 2 years ago, right? Because somebody left in mid-season or something, didn't they, one time?
As far as the total number of people she's got, I don't know, I don't remember that.
Well, the sheet was showing seven full-time a couple of years ago, I think, and I thought something, and we went to 8, or it was showing 8 a couple of years ago, was it?
Yes, so what we did actually was we outsourced the safety inspections.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then we absorbed the training
That's
aspect internally. That's what we did with that. That's where you saw the adjustment. Then the part-time person was hired on specifically due to Affordable Care Act.
Yeah.
That turned out to be a much bigger project than what we anticipated. We do dependent verifications as a manual process. I mean, there's a lot of manual paper that we deal with in our office, and so those things take time. And as we're growing in numbers, you know, we've added 591 employees since the last time we, with the exception of the part-time person, since the last time we added a staff member in 2008. We're projecting about another 150 employees when the new school opens in 2017. With it comes dependents and other people to service, and that's why we had the need to convert this to a full-time
You
position.
take care of all the Board of Education as well as county general and everything.
Yes, that's right.
So as
That
we add,
500, oh, go
I
ahead.
was saying, so as we add a school a year, we increase your workload every year.
Correct.
Yeah.
That 591 increase was a net number even after all the spouses dropped off?
Yeah, so I looked
Because
at.
That number backed things up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm only looking at it from an employee perspective. If I looked at it from a dependent perspective, you would have a multiplier on there of about 2.5 to 3. So we, right now, we are at a total management of 11,839 individuals as of the end of April.
A lot of paperwork. So do you accept the mayor's recommendation?
Yes, I do.
Motion to approve the request.
Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer, Mr. Fee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
And Mrs. Allen, just the questions you were asking Sonia about how do we do the salary surveys, et cetera. We're certainly, and sometimes we do some
There's some crucial positions
some
that we
crucial
just,
things
yeah.
and outside of her schedule. We did a substantial improvement here a while back, but yes, it needs to be reviewed again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Finance, Ms. Nolan. Page 10.
Page 10, Ms. Nolan hardly ever asks for anything much. If she does, it's necessary. Okay, the recommendation is $1,222,023. And again, Mrs. Nolan is asking if we will allow her to convert, I believe, some part-time dollars to a full-time position. And so that's the part-time, I forgot, it was $19,000 or so. Well, it was more than that, but
It was 24,500.
so this year her part-time is like 43.5, and
I would take it down to
she's
19.
taking it down to 19, which is $24,000 reduction to be offset with an additional person that she's convinced me she needs, and you can ask questions.
I've requested this position several years and have agreed to try one more year. But this year has been pretty difficult, as Melissa said, with the ACA. I've got some staff that's dealing with some heavy medical issues, and the part-time person that we need to promote into the full-time has taken on quite a bit of load and is already working over 30 hours a week anyway, so anything I'm gonna have to add insurance to them because they've already met that threshold. The other item, I've got two other items that I'd like to talk about, and one is the, where we pay our audit, where the rings are.
305.
305. This is, the state added a 10% increase to the rate, so that's beyond my control. And I'm asking for additional software, which is what that 709 is.
And what is that for, the software?
It's two different pieces. One is to take our accounts payable. We've converted our general ledger package to a new package. I mean, it's the same company, it's the upgraded version. And this anticipates the accounts payable module to also be converted to the next gen. This also includes an amount for a piece of software that I'll be bringing to audit committee. And in our audit committee, in our last one, we were discussing potentially the need to develop an internal audit group or person, or contracting it out. I was able to find, just through a conference that I went to, a piece of software that turns my accounts payable, I'm telling my two audit committee members, turns my accounts payable people into internal auditors. It takes the idea is it will compare all the entries they input for invoices and compares it to other matrix. Does it meet rules that it might raise to the level that you need to check into it? I'm really simplifying this. What is really interesting about this piece of software is that it will, the schools, highway, and county payables are all in separate modules. This one will be able to take all the information and compare the invoice that we input against all the other data to say, have you paid this already? This looks very similar to what you've already paid before. It hits, some fraud type things, and so the idea is it will come back and then they will investigate these things that they have inputted to say, I need to take a second look.
It checks and balances.
Yeah.
Let's see, motion to approve is presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen. Commissioner Jernigan. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Trustees budget. Mr. Beatty cannot be with us tonight. I was informed, if I don't misspeak, that he accepts the mayor's recommendation, but if we do decide to start adjusting it, he would like a chance to debate. So,
Well, the recommendation is $889,950, and again, you can see that Ms. Nolan has added those benefits up at the top, which we haven't had previously here. So that's, and then the tax relief program, I believe that he had 625, and since that discussion, he and Ms. Nolan think we need to make that $650,000. So that's the recommendation on that tax relief 540 line item.
Motion approved.
thank you, Commissioner Jernigan.
Second.
Commissioner Schaefer. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. County Clerk, Ms. Crowell.
Ms. Crowell has been at a hold up. She's texted me and asked if she could go last. She's en route, but something happened, so she asked me to tell you that.
That's okay. We moved down 3 items, but we only have a few left to go. But GIS, Ms. Robertson, Ms. Norwood. More of your names on the next list, might as well all come up here at once.
Thanks, sir.
Welcome.
Okay, the recommendation on GIS is $1,240,113. That is reduced about $30-something from this year. And their recommendation, let's see, I pretty much agree with everything they said, except there's an additional item under legal services for $10,000, and we reduced data processing equipment by $10,000, and their request for motor vehicles, I have recommended against that. And we're going to address some alternative methods there. So the total is $1,240,113. So if you want to know what's in other capital outlay, you'll have to let them explain that, but it's almost a $200,000 reduction. In fact, it is a little bit more than $200,000 reduction from this current year. This gives us a net reduction of about $130,000.
What was the reason for adding the legal services?
That was
Mr.
for the, what do you call them?
Yes, unmanned aerial vehicle.
Thank you.
It's to,
Drones.
it's for us to do our homework to see if we are in a position, or what it would take to be in a position to be certified to use that device. Is that more or less it?
Yes, that's correct. 333 exemption from the FAA.
Is that got armor plating?
It does not. This is just the legal services to file properly, to allow us to do some operations. We do have a small vehicle that we've grounded for really a couple of years now, since the regulations became more stringent, and this would make us be able to legally do some of the things that we originally intended to do, and put us in a position in subsequent budget years to look at the possibility of additional vehicles which could do a larger portion of what we're currently paying others to do as far as aerial data acquisition.
Or are you talking about the flyover photography?
To some extent, yes.
Well, that's something I can kind of buy in on, but, you know, for us to have a fleet of drones that we're gonna buzz around the county, I'm not gonna put any money in funding for that period, unless I can specifically see an actual use that that's gonna be used for. If not, if they come over to my place, you better have armor plating.
Or the ability to shoot back on.
That's right.
There's no money in their budget for any more vehicles.
This is just a little bit of money to be able to see what we can legally can and cannot do. Give us options, weigh our options.
That's correct. And to be perhaps a bit more prudent and careful, a couple of early efforts in this regard outside of our particular department were not handled just right, and so we're wanting to do everything properly, and we want full public disclosure for everything that we do. This is non-law enforcement in nature and more of a planning tool and data gathering tool.
I can see that, but that's a sensitive subject, at least to the people that I've talked to. And, you know, there are some areas of this county that really don't want to be flown up. And I could name some, but, you know.
People don't like the tax assessor coming by and measuring your house, but they still have a right to do some looking.
And I don't disagree with that, don't misunderstand me, but, you know, you get to a point where you're talking about intrusion in my book. And so I want it laid out very clearly what we can and can't do. That way I don't have people call me and complain and say, hey, what is this? In fact, it may not be us, you know.
Then you would be in favor of this amount here, if that's your goal.
Exactly, because that's going to tell us what we can and can't do.
Yes.
On the data processing, you went from 57,000, you requested 105, and the mayor recommended 95. What are your plans for that increase?
The $10,000 reduction is just was due to the UAB legal fees that we just talked about. It was moved up to 331. So that was not actually a reduction, it's just moved to another line item, Commissioner, yeah.
And then what was your increase for from going from 57 up to 105?
That was data storage. Data storage.
Go ahead, Barbara. Yeah.
Yes, we, $83,000 worth of data storage for our virtual environment that we're taking up most of the room on at this point in the data center. We build large sets of data to produce this data for all the county employees and for the public, and to publish this out. And it takes a lot of space to house that. And the more data we get in, the more data we're housing. And we are looking at some retention policies to pull off some of the data, but we're still using a lot of this historic data as well that is being used by archives and other departments as they look at different projects that they're working on. The Bottoms project and the cemetery project that we've just kind of officially finished, but still have a little work to do on. Those are the projects that keep kind of this imagery that we have to house.
So the increase, have we purchased some additional capacity, or are we going to continue to see that level of increase?
No, this will be an additional purchase of capacity. There would be some maintenance costs, I would assume, Darren, involved in subsequent years, but some portion of that, but this would be just for the original storage itself.
But a one-time, I mean.
A one-time, yeah, a one-time
Right.
purchase.
334, maintenance agreements, is that same as last year, just increase in prices?
We have a contract with our software developer, our software vendor for the GIS software, and this is the contract that provides the software for all of the municipalities and the county, and also for 911 and the utilities as well, not CUD or Mills City Electric, but the city utilities. And they contribute back the majority of that cost. Our out-of-pocket cost it goes up it's went up $25,000 each year for the last 3 years. This is the last year of the contract, will be this current upcoming budget year. Our total cost investment in that part is $85,840 of the $370,000 that is paid out of that line item, and in revenue we'll receive back from the cities.
Capital outlays, last item, is that the flyover, what it costs this year?
$799 other capital outlay, yes. And this is an off year, so that's the reason for our appearance of a reduction.
And it includes the oblique imagery also for the assessor's office.
And we consolidate and some help out with this one, the flyover also?
Yes, they contribute $50,000, I believe, a year.
That's
Is that correct?
Any of the cities?
The city of Murfreesboro pays 29% of whatever we spend, not for the oblique imagery, but for the regular flyover. They pay 29% of whatever we spend for the flyovers.
With the urban growth boundary.
Yes, the size of the urban growth boundary.
Acreage wise.
The other two cities?
They do not contribute on that.
I'll have to ask the next item, should they get info from us?
Yes, they use the data.
They do participate in the ESRI
Yes.
software agreement.
Mr. Robertson, I take it you and your staff accept the mayor's recommendation?
Yes, we do.
Entertain a motion.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Jernigan.
Second.
Mr. Baum. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Information technology. Page 14.
Okay. Well, actually, my recommendation is the same as his request, $2,870,324, which is, there are certainly a few changes as you go down through there. The primary one of the primary ones is Mr. Robertson has requested, again, a conversion of a part-time position, I think, to a full-time position for communications coordinator. As you can see that line item 121 has increased and part-time has decreased. Net gain of about $30,000 plus the attendant benefits that would have gone up in that respect. Communication is up 20,000, data processing is up 32, maintenance agreements is decreased 65,000, data processing equipment's 80,000 and the other equipment's up about 10,000. So the net effect of all of this is about $127,000. $2,870,324, that's the recommendation. And it's pretty much the same as his request.
I take it, well, it's the same as this one, you accept the mayor's
Yes, we do
recommendation.
accept the mayor's recommendation, yes, sir.
We've got a handout. We just got.
That is our balanced scorecard. I know that had gotten some popularity at some committees, and so we worked out our balanced scorecard there, which gives you some visibility of the components of these, both the GIS operation and the OIT operation. The two yellow statuses are reflected in this budget request, in that they will help remedy those being yellow.
What are the wishes of the committee?
Make a motion approved.
Thank you, Commissioner Jernigan.
I'll second his motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Pegg. Other comments or discussion? Those in favor of approving the budget as recommended by the mayor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Ms. Kroll is here with us now, so we'll move back up. County Clerk. Page 13. Well,
Thank you for working with me.
how are you tonight?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, the recommendation on county clerk's office is $885,480. That, you just take a quick look. I think all of this is exactly the same as Mrs. Kroll had on her initial request. You will note that she, like Mrs. Dalbarn with respect to the rest of these, her salaries are not up there, even though Lisa has now, again, left all of the attendant benefits on this particular budget. And I can tell you that her salaries in this current year is about $1.6 million, and her budget is down almost precisely $1.6 million on this particular sheet of paper here. So it's just a removal of those from this presentation here. And there are no other changes, except we will, and it's not reflected here, and it doesn't have to be reflected here. Mrs. Kroll will be having one additional employee that will be on her staff. And that will be part of her order, you might say, that I will agree with her on as she prepares that. So other than that, there's really no changes here of, let me say, I do see where there's a $5,000 reduction on communications, Ms. I don't quite remember what happened there, actually, Lisa. Line item 307, you had 20 and I've got 15.
And when we met, that's what we discussed,
We-
we're going from 20 to
Okay, so we agreed on that sort of after we had
Yes,
our,
we
when we
did.
had our discussion. Okay, then, thank you.
335, what's
335.
changing inside or something?
Actually, what that is $16,800, and that's adding an additional drive-through to the existing one that we already have. And that's also replacing the old audio equipment that we have inside that they have been telling us is so old that they're having problems getting parts for now. So when they put in the additional drive-through lane, they'll also put in the new audio when they're putting in the new audio.
There must be room for it down there. Is it-
There's room enough underneath the awning. I had Bank Pack, which is who puts in drive-throughs for banks and such, and did ours when we did the building. And he measured, and we have enough room underneath the awning. And that's without jackhammering up any curbing or anything. This is just to relieve the pressure off the street quicker.
She very much,
Blocking the
she
parking
very
lot,
much
too.
does this.
Let's hope.
This is the Murfreesboro location.
From an accounting standpoint, when Mrs. Dawbarn and Ms. Kroll move positions out of these line items, because they're going to be paid for with fees out of their own offices, from an accounting standpoint, do those positions, are they picked up somewhere else in the budget, or are they expenditures that are literally removed from county general's appropriations?
They're on the payroll.
They're on the payroll.
She keeps up with them in payroll. They're on a piece of paper that she prepares that says, I will have these many deputies, that those salaries will not exceed a number. She'll have these many other people with different classifications that will not exceed a per unit number. And they pretty much stay within a schedule that's comparable with what we're paying our people in those positions. And the only place they're really kept up with is in this the payroll system.
Yep, it's not in the budget. It's reflective of her fees, because she will turn in fees in excess of those salaries. So if the revenue comes in, you will be able to see it in their audit, because it is reflected. The salary, doing it this way, pure salaries will be reflected in the audit.
Okay, the reason why I was asking, I guess, was just to see if this interpretation's right. County General's budget is up between $1 million and $2 million from last year. But at the same time, the Register of Deeds budget is down about $750,000, and Ms. Kroll's budget is down about $1.6 million. So does that mean that since County General's budget is up between $1 and $2 million, that it's really, there's some increases in the budget that would reflect even more
Yes.
increases than that, because it's being offset by some of these salaries being
Right.
moved out of
You're absolutely
two
right.
of the accounts. We'll see where these increases are coming in another night, not tonight, they haven't been
They're not-
visible
they're
tonight,
not real
but
big, yeah.
but County General's budget has increased by more than just what it would appear when you compare our budget this year to
Right,
last
and
year,
that
because
is
we've
what you
moved
have
all
to
these
look at.
positions out of some of these departments.
You've moved salaries out, but you've moved benefits in.
Benefits in. So we moved about $2.2 million of salaries out
Yeah, you'll,
on these two departments.
right, on those two, but in the trustees and circuit, you will see that their salaries their bottom line increase, because now we're gonna account for their benefits in their budgets. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, yes, there's gonna go, but those are gonna come in.
But it's probably
But they're
not,
not gonna
it's not
balance
a
each
wash.
It's not a
no,
wash,
no.
but it's not a wash, I agree.
There's a little offset, but nowhere near a wash.
Not, no near, but you're right in your assumptions.
And as far as my county, the employee raises, I'm staying consistent with the other county offices. It's basically a 75% raise. I'm staying in the pay table as the county, so I'm staying within. There's no title changes or anything like that happening.
Are you getting across the board raises?
She's following the pay plan, so it'd be the people's next steps.
I misunderstood what you just said then.
Well, it's basically a 1.75.
Which is a step
Which is a
increase.
step.
Okay.
To get the true picture, you can't look at the bottom number, you have to look at each department individual, and then basically do the math yourself. Like we've added 2 employees at least here tonight already, one from Mr. Vogel, one from finance, and maybe
And
another.
we've reduced
About 4
part-time.
And we've reduced some part-time, but that's still gone from 2 part-time to 2 full-time, and just the 2 I'm thinking of off the top of my head. Anyway, but Ms. Crowell, I always say Crowell, I'm sorry.
I'll answer.
You accept the mayor's recommendation, I take.
I do.
Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen. Mr. Jernigan. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Got any other business to come for us tonight? I would like to say to the people out there watching on TV or you left in the audience, we've just covered 21 budgets in an hour and 20 minutes. I don't want anybody out there to think that's all these budgets have been done. There's 2 people right here, 3 people right here, and the rest of Ms. Nolan's staff. Mary Burgess has spent hours and hours, days and days working on this to bring us these recommendations. So I think anybody thinks we're sitting here and blindly approving these with no more time put into this. The department heads have built their budgets, the mayor and the department finance have taken them apart and put them back together, sometimes the same, sometimes differently, and probably what we've got tonight. And I just like to say, I appreciate the work you've done and really make our jobs that much easier. If nothing else to come before us at this time,
I do have one quick question. Ms. Crowell's office added 1 full-time employee, and I'm trying to locate where that position is listed on this, one of these
It's
first.
not, it's not, because it's,
It is, and you did put it over in this one sheet that you have here.
It's on one of the sheets, but it's not on the sheet that says
it's,
positions
no,
recommended
because
by
that,
mayor. It's not on.
position is not
Okay.
in the budget, but it is,
It is down there. where-
It's reflected.
The one that she passed out corrected tonight,
we fixed it.
she
Okay.
fixed that, okay? Just the one that was
Reflected.
laying on your table there.
That's yours, I believe.
That's
Oh,
the
you
only
took the old
place
one
you'll,
out. Okay. I
you'll
understand.
see that.
and just for the record, this committee will meet again next Tuesday night, the 17th at 5:30, and also next Thursday night, the 19th at 5:30 in this room. And then again the week after that, but if there's nothing else to come for us, we are adjourned. Thank you.